Hello, all. Now, besides films and TV shows, there is another medium that has been getting a lot of attention in the online space, and that is the short film. Today, we will be discussing two great short films, The Booth and Little Hands. You can watch The Booth on Mubi, and Little Hands is on YouTube. Links to both films are in the description below. Today, I am joined by the wonderful filmmaker behind those two films, and that is Rohin Ravindran Nair. Thank you so much, Rohan, for being here.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Akshay, for having me on this interview. Thanks a lot.
Lovely. So I enjoyed watching both films. One interesting thing that is common in these two films, and this is something we spoke briefly earlier about. There are these limitations that help create an impactful story. Like Little Hands is only focuses on the hands of children when they're taking a math exam, and the booth restricts the characters in a very small location, which is the booth itself. So how do you decide these elements when you're writing them?
So I think only after Booth I realized that I'm drawn to claustrophobic spaces, and while writing Deadlands, this thought that I have to set these limitations wasn't it didn't come up in my mind in a very foregrounded manner. But I knew from the start that I cannot show the faces of the characters, because the moment I show the face of the characters, then the whole idea would fail for me. So
Mm.
that way, I definitely had a limitation in front of me, and it was like a big experiment for me. Whether I'll be able to communicate the story only by showing the hands of the characters.
Yeah.
It was all trial and error. So the moment I edited my film, I showed it to some 6, 7 friends whom I greatly respect and admire, and they told me, yeah, it's absolutely communicating, and that gave me the
Mm.
confidence, to share it with wider network of people, send it to festivals. So that's how Lidlands evolved, from being a mere experiment for me,
Yeah.
and it was made on a very small scale with a very small crew. And then while I was making Booth, I was drawn to this space called this female frisking booth, and the kind of experiments I could do in that space. And of course, uh, as a space, it has its own restrictions. But uh, while planning to how to shoot the booth, we thought that let's shoot it with say only one lens, and let's try to keep the camera very static. Let's not make it very mobile or kinetic, because this space also kind of imposes its own rules for the filmmaker. So I think those were the basic ideas while I was making both Booth and Living.
Yeah. Yeah, the way you designed it also makes it something that uh, it immerses the audience, because they have to, you know, uh, put two and two together and try to make sense of that. When you're not showing the face, or when you're putting them in these locations. So yeah, it works well. So when you're coming up with these ideas, do you start with a particular message or theme, or does it come from you know is there some kind of point that you want to express?
Often it's just one image, which sticks in your head, and you just try to build it from there. With Lidland, the seed of the idea was that I still have this constant, wake up in the middle of the night, and uh, I see this dream that tomorrow it's my math exam and I don't know the answer to that to the question. And so that was a basic, very basic seed of Midlands. And
Yeah.
while I was thinking about making such a film, there was also this thought that okay, let's try to make a film where you don't have to show the face of the characters. Whether it was a challenge that I set for myself, that if I could just say show the hands of the characters and communicate the story. So that was the basic seed of the idea for Midlands.
And for the booth, like, did it come from any kind of a thought, or was it something like you observed or something like that?
So before Booth, I was trying to make another short film, and for various reasons, it was getting stuck, mostly due to casting. And for 2 years, I was trying to make that film while I was on the side DPing on projects or doing second unit work in Bombay. Monsoon played spoiled for. There was some issue with the casting, so I thought I have to make a short film in which the restriction which I imposed that time was that it shouldn't get affected by rain. It has to be in an interior space. It cannot be exterior, because the moment you go exterior, and generally when I get freeze in the month of say May to June, and then in Bombay from June to October, June to
Yeah.
September, if you're shooting outdoors, it's almost impossible unless rain is a very important part of your film.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that way I had to set some limitations for myself while I was thinking of idea. So Booth basically came out of a desperation to make a short film. It was as simple as that. And when this image of a female frisking Booth came to my mind, and I thought it could, be a very good metaphor for this love story between these two women, who discover this private space for themselves in a very public space like
Yeah.
a mall. So Booth was basically two reasons. One was this desperation to make a film, and second was when this idea came to my head, then I knew that I have to quickly, sit and write this idea. I have to make it as soon as possible. So I think both these force factors help in the writing of Booth.
Mm. Now, how many short films you've made over the years?
So I made quite a few, but I mean, when I tell people that I made 3 short films, because everyone would have started with some terrible short films which they wouldn't even show to their best friends. So I've also done that. So for me, I made 3 acceptable, or I can say decent short films.
Yeah.
So apart from Booth and Litlands, there is a short film called Pageant, which I finished in 2016.
Yeah.
It's a 1-minute long short film.
Yeah, I saw it, I think, right after seeing.
Yeah, and it's there on YouTube.
Yeah. So that was also as part of a contest, like the 1-minute challenge.
So,
okay.
Right. So that is made for FilmMinute. FilmMinute is an online international 1-minute filmmaking competition where the films need to be of exactly 60 seconds. It cannot be a second more and cannot be a second less. And in 2016, Pageant won the competition. He won FilmMinute 2016.
Oh, nice. So, like, from making all these films, what are your biggest learnings as a filmmaker from making all these short films?
So I think it's always you're always trying to better your craft, and for me each project is exploring something in a very specific detailed manner. With Booth, I was trying to explore a particular style of acting which I wanted to play out with my actors, and it involved not emoting that much, and trying to put it very simply or very crassly, having a very straight face for that manner. And I wanted to explore whether, without emoting that much or without using the crutch of music, whether you could communicate a film. So those are some uh, limitations or restrictions which I set for myself. And so in the next project, it will definitely be something to do with acting or music. It'll be further exploration of the craft, I think.
Like it continues the experimentation and all of that.
Yeah. Because I think no one would hate to repeat himself.
Yeah. You want something, a new challenge or a new
kind
of idea.
Say for example, I'd love to do a short film or a feature film in which there are a lot of characters, like say a film like Boogie Nights or whatever Robert Altman has done, having so many characters in your film, and uh, if and it's so difficult and it's so so challenging to do something of that sort. So that is something which I definitely love to explore in the future.
All right.
Like what someone like Asghar Farhadi has done so beautifully in his previous work
Uh-huh.
about Delhi and all those other things which he's made.
Yeah. You've worked on Sacred Games, Bhavesh Joshi and AK versus AK as an assistant, second unit director of photography. If I'm correct?
Yeah. So second, uh, uh, on Bhavesh Joshi, I was there for only few days, but
Okay.
uh, I was there for the entire schedule of Sacred Games, both
Sacred
seasons.
Games and
Yeah.
yeah. So what are your learnings from those jobs when you're on a set and you're
Yeah.
working these kind of projects?
So before Sacred Games, I had finished my specialization in cinematography from FTR. And when you're fresh out of film school, film school teaches you things in a very certain way, and that learning has surely helped me. But when you're actually on a set and the set is like a whole monster for me, and it has its own rules, which will be far away from what you learned in a film school. So that was the most magical part for me to, unlearn whatever I learned in film school and start afresh and see how things are actually done. And learning under someone like Vikram Modani, who's like a mentor, and I'm still a big fan of Vikram. So even though I've worked with him,
Yeah.
I've been working with him for the past 3-4 years. So
Yeah.
it was like a second film school for me. I had to unlearn things and look at things from a new perspective and, totally understand how this whole monster works. The monster called set, monster called deadline, schedule, how all those things work and how all the departments come together. They have to collaborate, and then because of all those people's hard work, you see whatever product comes in front of you, which then gets torn apart, teared apart by people, all the critics, all the arms critics out there, which is also totally fair. It's totally
Yeah. But I mean, like, I think every film requires hard work, right? Whether it's
yeah,
good or bad or average. I mean,
yeah.
whatever you call it. I think, yeah, people maybe don't
So
realize it.
I think right, and all those days on set have just increased my admiration for people in the film business, my admiration for the craft of filmmaking. It has just gone up.
Yeah. So, what got you interested in pursuing filmmaking?
So I wanted to become a cricketer till I was 15, 16.
Cricketer.
Yeah, I
Oh,
was
okay.
my school team. I was my school team's cricket captain and I was a decent batsman. But then my father made me realize that it's a very tricky field and it's a very murky field.
Yeah.
And in those years when I was 15, 16, 17, I was totally confused कि आगे करना क्या है. And then I watched Rang De Vasant and it changed my life.
Yeah.
I saw RDB some 50, 60 times and
Yeah.
it totally changed my life, changed my perspective about cinema. I started watching films pretty seriously and by the time I was 18, I knew that, okay, this is the field and I just had to do some short course so that I knew for a fact, okay, this is what I want to do. And I did a small workshop in Delhi under this fantastic teacher called Kavita Joshi. She is an FT alumni. And she was one of my first teachers under whom I learned a lot. And those were like my baby steps in filmmaking and cinema.
Yeah.
And then after college, I applied for FTI. I cleared the written in the first attempt, but couldn't clear the interview. Then I got through in my second attempt. I did the 1 year course in cinematography and passed out in 2016. Then I
Okay.
shifted to Bombay and I've been based out of here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not that story, where my father had a camera. Yeah,
Yeah.
I knew since I was 3 that I wanted to become a filmmaker. It's very
Yeah.
boring or undramatic, non-cinematic story that.
Yeah. but then there is that trigger point that comes.
Yeah,
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 yeah. I think Rang De Basanti is definitely like it's a classic. I
yeah.
yeah. Is there any kind of writing recently that impressed you? Like it could be from a film or a series or a short film from anywhere. Anything recently?
Oh yes. So only day before yesterday, I was watching Lost in Translation, and uh, it's such a beautiful film. And when you're watching that film, you just cannot, ignore the writing. What beautiful
Yeah,
writing! And I'm a big fan of whatever Billy Wilder has written. Yeah, David Mamet, P.D.
yeah,
Anderson. I love director writers. So
yeah,
whenever I get time, I try to, read the screenplays, Boogie
yeah,
Nights, Punch Drunk Love, or whatever has been touched by the pen of Billy Wilder.
yeah, yeah. Lovely. Anything in the Indian space that you saw recently that has been
So just few hours back, I saw Joji. It's a Malayalam film. It's a adaptation of Macbeth,
Joji? Right,
and
right, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and it's such a beautiful, such a twisted adaptation of Dilish Potan. And Dilish Potan, I think, is one of the contemporary greats in Indian cinema, hands down on the contemporary.
Yes, I
And
agree.
and it's so difficult to say which film of his would be your favorite pick, because Mahesh Indra is as good as Jodia. It's so difficult to say, yeah, which is better.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I think you don't need to even uh, discuss or decide which is better. So Joji was one film
yeah,
which I was so impressed by, and I'm a
yeah,
big fan of the writer of Joji, Sham Pushkaran,
yeah.
another fantastic writer.
Yes.
Just love the kind of lines he comes up with.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
Uh, yeah, he's I mean, it's a dream collaboration. What they have,
yeah,
both of them.
yeah.
Definitely there. Well, so thank you so much for doing this, Rohin. It was
Thank you,
lovely
Akshay.
getting
Thanks
it
for
was
having me.
lovely getting to know your process. It was nice to know your journey on how you uh, came into this field. Uh, so yeah, looking forward to your next projects, your next short, and hopefully a feature. I would love to see a feature from you.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you for doing this.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Akshay. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.